Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Good morning and welcome. Boy, it's getting a little bit coldy here. I'm broadcasting from Southern California, Surf City, USA. Hi, I'm Bob Pace, and I have a podcast for you to help your case with CPS. You have now found me, Fight CPS with Bob Pace, and hang on to your children. That's so important, families are. And I really want to embrace you and warmly welcome you to my podcast. I too have been in CPS and been fighting them for 15 years. So I know what it is to fight CPS. I'm not a lawyer, but a loving father and a family man with 6 children. Been married 42 years, 2 different marriages, one for 10 and one for 32. But I have lots of experience I could share with you, a lot of life skills. And one of the worst things in my life is to encounter the child protection system. That's what I call the social service branch that protects our children, mandated by Congress to protect our children from neglect or abuse. And furthermore, they're supposed to help families in need with food, shelter, clothing, transportation, educational, medical, and of course, find you a job if you need one. Furthermore, if they decide to break up your family because your children are in imminent danger, they're supposed to do what's called family reunification, bring the family back together, because it's proven that the best parents are the biological parents. Now, you may go through parenting classes and programs to help you be a better parent, but they're supposed to emphasize family reunification. So that is what I call CPS, the Child Protection System. Every state's different. In Arizona, it's the Department of Children's Services, DCS. In Kentucky, it's the Cabinet. Now, in California, it's the Child Protection Services, CPS, too. So, I mean all the agencies that deal with protection of our children. And I call all those agencies, they're in the counties, or CPS. And I know that all of you that come into this room are probably lost or bewildered about what to do about your family and how to deal with this horrible entity called CPS. I don't know why I keep every day. Seems like it wants to take me off, I guess. My headset's having some issues, I guess. Let me try to fix it better. Okay. I don't know why I have the headset on because I'm so used to wearing it because I'm outdoors. So today I'm actually at my home. I'm in Southern California at Surf City. Hi, Paulette. Long time no talk to. Welcome. Welcome to the podcast. I'm glad your comment got in before the room started loading all the comments. That's the problem. These comments take slow time coming in. Hopefully they're all in. We have about 8 rooms that these comments come in. And Let's see if they're all here. We have the reality series, the CP horror stories. Then we have the losses of Vincent W. Davis and Associates. Then we have Relatives Fight CPS. Then we have My Room, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. Then we have Juvenile Dependency. Then we have The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win, which is Vincent Davis's podcast. And then Paulette got in there between the comments. Luckily, you got in okay. And then we have the reality series, the CPS horror stories. I don't know why that's repeating. The horror stories repeated twice. Okay. Anyway, and then we have Fight CPS, Real Talk with Mrs. G. Then we have the loss of Vincent Davis and Associates. That repeated too. Relatives Fight CPS. The reality series, the CPS horror, that's the third time. Defense Strategy Consult, that's from YouTube. And it's repeated again and again and again and again. Oh boy. Fight CPS, Mrs. G is repeated. Fight Me With Me is repeated. Juvenile Dependency. How the Secret to Fight CPS. And then we got Paulette again. Hopefully we'll get no more room announcements. Paulette, who's from South Carolina, says, how do we know where to start with asking questions? I'm so undecided on the laws. Well, Paulette, the hardest thing that you're going to find with CPS is something you're not, in tune to. To me, it was different and strange my first time with CPS. And I know it's very complex. It's taken me 15 years to feel comfortable that if I ever got involved in CPS, I would know what to do. And one of the important things you need to understand that CPS is like open heart surgery. It's very complex and it needs a special individual to fight on your behalf. This is one time in your life you need an attorney, a dependency attorney. And so I'm just telling you is that the gentleman that just spoke, that you heard, Mr. Vincent W. Davis, is having a Zoom podcast this Saturday, which he was telling you about. And he'll talk to you about how to navigate and how to fight and how to get your children back. He'll answer questions in the room. So this Saturday, mark your calendar at 10 o'clock in the morning. And you want to hear what he has to say. My show will come on 2 hours early, so it gives you time to see his show. I'll come on at 8 o'clock. Hi there, Lori. Long time not seeing in the room. I've seen you sometimes make emojis, but I'm glad to see you, Lori. I'm so glad you're here. So, Paulette, there's no right way or wrong way. What I would do is get a piece of paper out and write down the questions you want to ask, and then just ask me. Or come on my show to be a guest, or to call me, and I can put you on speakerphone. Now, all you listeners out there, I'm on every day, twice a day, from 10 o'clock in the morning for 1 hour Pacific Standard Time, and 7 o'clock at night for 1 hour for Pacific Standard Time. So that is 7 days a week, 14 shows. Now, typically, there are some modifications. On Saturday, Vince will be having his Zoom podcast question and answers at 10. So I've moved my show time to 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time. That'll give you enough time to get ready for his podcast. On Sunday, I go to church, and so I have my podcast on earlier at 8 o'clock in the morning. Gives enough time to make it to church. Now, there's other days of the week that sometimes, like on Friday nights, which is high school football, Friday Night Lights, I'm sometimes on early. Now, this Friday, there is no football game for me to go to, so it's a bye this weekend. But the following Friday, I will be coming on early at 4 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific Standard Time. So I really okay. So Paulette, there is no right or wrong way. By being in this room is the first step. Now, what you might want to do is be a guest on my podcast or call in. Now, a lot of you are now starting to use text it in, which is great. You can send me a message by typing it in. All you do is you type a question or a comment about CPS. We want to stick with CPS. That is the theme of this show, the Child Protection System. Please show your name. Your first name is all you have to do. Then show your city or your county, city or county your case was in. Then list the state. Now, if you're from outside of the USA and one of the other countries, I have about 15 countries that have text in. Please add your province if you don't have a state, and of course your country. What country you're from? So city, state, province, country, and your first name. And that would be great. And I'd like you to be complete with your case and try to tell me your family makeup. Are you a husband, wife? Are you a mother, father? Are you a partnership? Are both parents involved with the case? Are you a single parent fighting the case alone? Are there multiple fathers and mothers for different children? Or is all the same mom and same father? And then also the ages and sexes of the children. And then how the children were taken from you. Were you giving them over? Did they demand them? Did they take them? Did they go down to the office and turn them in? How did the children get involved or taken out? If they did, hopefully they didn't get taken. Typically, in my case, and over 600 people, the scenario is this. An allegation is made. CPS believes it's true. They come to your home to investigate, and they take your child who isn't in danger and put them into foster care. What that does, it allows them to collect money from the state, who in turn gets the money from the federal government. There's no accountability. There's no transparency. They get the money and they spend it wherever they want to spend it. What is so sad is that if you look at the amount of money they spend on the social workers and the amount of money they spend on themselves, you see the discrepancy. You'll see the discrepancy. They're actually kidnapping of our children. They are trafficking our children to foster care. They're alienating our children. All those three terms are against the law. But CPS gets away with it. They get away with it. They're very corrupt. And again, those are the CPS cases I've dealt with. Now, I've had 3 people on the show say they're not corrupt. They're not corrupt. Now, one of the important aspects is be a guest on my podcast. I'd love for you to be a guest on my podcast. Paulette, if you want to be a guest on my podcast, all you got to do is pick a show time and a day, a Monday, a Sunday, a Wednesday, morning, or evening. And you email that to my show producer, Grace at vincentwdavis.com. She works really hard behind the scenes. She's very valuable, and I'm glad that she's there. So it's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's where you email the show times you want to be on. She'll in turn send you a link to Facebook, and then Facebook will you'll be on. No, she sent a link to StreamYard. I'm sorry. I'm broadcasting on StreamYard on YouTube. So she'll send you a link to StreamYard to YouTube and get you on the show. And then I can have 9 of you all talking about your case. One thing nice about being guest is that you'll get a free consultation with Mr. Davis for 15 minutes. You have a private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis for 15 minutes. That's if you want to be a guest on my podcast. That was put in there to help get it to podcast with more people in it. More people could be in the podcast there. So that's the benefit of being on my podcast is you get a Zoom meeting for 15 minutes with Mr. Davis. As you heard, he's 35 years fighting CPS. He's a trial attorney, and I want to thank him very much for all the time he does things and what he does. He's a fighter. He's a pit bull fighter. He operates out of Arcadia, California, south of LA. But he has cases in Orange County, LA County, and San Bernardino. Also cases up north in Northern California. He also does states like he's in Oklahoma. So he's good resource to know. And you can get a 15-minute consultation with Mr. Davis from doing that. Now, Paulette, okay, see what Paulette says. I know, Paulette, and it's okay. You've been trying for over 2 weeks. It's all right. I've got to know you and your travel to Georgia and back. I know you want your children. You had a messy divorce, and your ex is stealing your children and taking your children so that you have no time with them. That's wrong. That's wrong. Parents need both the father and the mother. Both the father and the mother, Paulette. Now, a fourth way of being on the podcast is you can go to call me in on my phone. All you have to do is call 626-698-0990, and you can speak to me live. I use Vonage, which is a internet application. And so I take the calls on my phone during my show time. Now, if you call me before my show time or after my show time, I cannot answer the call. Furthermore, my texting capabilities on Vonage are not working. I understand that. I can talk to my show producer, but I can't text anyone else in here. So that number 626-698-0990 goes directly to my phone, and I'll answer and put you on speakerphone. Also, by you talking on the phone, you qualify for 15 minutes of free time having a private consultation on Zoom with Vincent Davis. So now I've told you 2 ways you can have 15 minutes free. One is be a guest on my podcast. 2 is to do a phone call. Now, I know that you really want to resolve your case and don't know what to do. There's lots of scenarios out there. Lots of scenarios. And I will try to help you with those scenarios. You don't have to be uneducated. You can be educated on these laws. Also, you'll find the internet is very helpful on learning about how to deal with CPS. Very helpful. Now, there's another number on my screen, 888-888-6582. That's the office number to the law office of Vincent W. Davis Associates. There you can find attorneys. You may want a divorce attorney, a criminal law attorney. You may want real estate law or bankruptcy. There's a lot of different kinds of attorneys he has, one that'll fit your needs. Now, there's lots of topics that I could talk about. I have 75 tabs opened up. I can talk about the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978, or I could talk about a 388 motion, or I could talk about how to file a complaint with the local CPS office or at the state level or at the federal level. There's ways you can fight and hang on to your children. I've come up with 5 rules. One of them I already spoke about, which is get an attorney. Rule 2 is start yourself a notebook. Keep track of all the information. Put it in a notebook with 3-ring binder. Start yourself a critical timeline activity, timeline of incidents. It's called an incident timeline. Anything that you had an incident with, such as the police, the social workers, the family members, the school, etc. You write down the date, the time, and the location, and then you write down what the people want. I also have cases of social workers, so you know what kind of people they are. They're really, really, really bad. Okay. Now, Paulette said something more. She says, okay, so there is no CPS case anymore. Can I still open to a call? Yes, you can, Paulette. You're hurting. I don't know what's happened. I'd love you to share your story with us because maybe we can help you. And no CPS case is ever closed because your children, they're not with you. They're still in your heart. And you still want to look at ways of how you can get your children back. It's okay, Paulette. I know that you have mixed feelings and you're really, suffering a hard time. So you've called in a lot, and I know that you like to speak to us. So I'd love to hear what you have to say, Paulette. I love to hear what you have to say. Now, an example of what a social worker is or how bad they really are. All you have to do is look at the story of the Pink Ladies. Now, I'm not talking about breast cancer awareness because that's what Pink represents. I'm talking about 8 social workers that worked in Prescott, Arizona. Now, Prescott, Arizona was known in the 60s and 70s for the Billy Jack movies. It was a movie that's a politically activist and involved Indian reservations and then involved a school of children with no parents. And also deal with bad elements of people. And it's surprising that 2 movies were made there. And then you have this weird incident later on in 2022 where these social workers for CPS dressed up in these pink t-shirts. The message they carried on the front was they're professional child kidnappers. And on the back, they say, do you know where your parents, do you know where your children are? Parents, do you know where your children are? This is all very, very negative. And I know it hurt a lot of you out there. So I really want to help you by sharing my case and all the knowledge that I've gotten from all the people, over 600 some people, and the 15 countries, such as Bangladesh, New Delhi, India, Lebanon, and Saudi Arabia in the Middle East. And then we have Africa, Liberia in the northwest corner, Rwanda in the central east part of the country, and then Mozambique, and then the west coast province of South Africa. And then we go to the west coast in South Africa, the west coast province. Then we go across the pond to North America, and I've talked to a lot of the Canadians, Alberta, British Columbia, etc. In fact, the other day we had a Canadian on. Then we go into the USA, and I've heard from every 50 states, either texting or calling in from those states there. Then south the border, I have Mexico. Then South America, I have Grenada. It's a coastal country east of Venezuela, North Brazil, on the east coast of South America. And then we go across the Pacific to land down under and talk to Australia. And on the Gold Coast, it is an interesting place, no question about that. And then we go to the South Coast to Melbourne, and their country is the Western Province, and they had a sea there too. So, today is an important day. It's elections. You need to go out and elect. And one of the important positions to choose is the dependency law judges. Those are elected officials, not appointed. All the dependency courts have judges that are elected by you. So it's important that you go out and vote for a judge that knows about family reunification, that is a dependency juvenile family lawyer. Those are important criteria. So it's important you go out and vote. Okay, Paulette says, you can file a complaint on a judge if he did you wrong. You can file a complaint on a judge if he did you wrong. How do you file a complaint on the judge? Well, let me go see. This is South Carolina, right? Okay. Okay, South Carolina, CPS, how to file a complaint on a dependency judge. You can actually do it by phone in South Carolina. It's 1-800-206-1957. Or you can submit electronic submission form with South Carolina's Department of Children Advocacy. You can do that too. Let me see if I get the website there. It's taking a while to load, so it must be a real hard search then. Now I'm going to use CPS. DSS is the same thing. You want to complain against a social worker? I'll give it for you in a moment. It takes a while to look these up. It's not difficulty. Filing a complaint is no more than filing your tax returns, which are sometimes very hard too. So I hear you on that. Well, so far, all I do is call up with a phone number. Now, one thing in South Carolina, both the United States Constitution and the South Carolina Constitution guarantees against unreasonable searches and seizures and unreasonable invasion of privacy. You have a right to legal representation at all stages of a CPS action. They call it DSS in South Carolina, including the investigation stage. So if you get involved with CPS, you can take time out. I need to get my attorney present. I cannot go any further. I talk to my attorney. That's your legal right. It gives you more time. You can do that. It gives you more time so you can do that. Well, I'm having a hard time finding the website, Paulette, and I'm trying to help you here. Plaint, P-L-A-N-T, on John, did you get your oops, excuse me. One moment, please. I need to ask my son a question. Okay, I'm back. I had to step away for a moment. We're trying to help out Paulette with how to file a complaint about a judge. I gave her the phone number, and now to file a complaint against a social worker. CPS, the Child Protection System, is called DSS in South Carolina. It's the Department of Social Services. And there's a beautiful web page that they had. It's colorful, blues and greens. Has lots of information there. And it tells you how does DSS help. Need to report abuse or neglect. And it tells you how to do that. And it talks about food stamps. It talks about adoption. It talks about agency videos, agencies podcasts, child support, becoming a foster parent, report abuse. There's lots of subject matter that they have. Now, you can do something called a civil rights discrimination complaint form and send it to the South Carolina Department of Social Services, DSS, Office of Civil Rights. You can also call the Department of Social Service Office of Civil Rights at 800 311 7220. That's 800 311 7220. Or you can call 803 898 8080. It says, furthermore, you can file a complaint too. By electronic submission form. The phone number for that of the Children's Advocacy, it's a social right complaint form. I have a picture of it right here that I found out. And it's 800 206 1957. 1957. And that way you can file a complaint there, Paulette. Now, she further asks, this is the most difficult thing that you've been through. I know what you've gone through. Is the judge allowed my husband to lie and to change his answers 4 times? Isn't that perjury? Well, yeah, you can sue your husband for perjury in a civil lawsuit if he lied on the witness stand. But again, you're going to need an attorney and a lot of money to do that. You can try it pro se yourself, but you'll find out that it's very difficult because in a courtroom, it's for lawyers. It isn't for the common person, which is sad. But it's the lawyers that argue cases and argue laws. And you have to know the laws. And that's why you need an attorney. My best advice is forget about your husband. Try to get your visitation with your children. I still don't know your case complete, Paulette, because you said there are 4 children, and he takes the children and moves them from state to state. So what you need to do is you need to get an attorney to go to court and get custody of those children. or guardianship of those children. You have a right to request that. You're the biological mother, so you can do that. Now I have about 20 minutes left of my show. I'd like to remind everybody that you're welcome to call in at 626-698-0990. That's my number, my live number to talk to me on the podcast. Remember, if you call in and talk on my podcast, it'll allow you a free 15-minute session with Vincent Davis, who will talk to you about CPS and how to navigate and how to get your children back. You can't go wrong with that. That's free 15 minutes. And furthermore, if you want to talk longer, I have a special arrangement I made with him that he will talk to you for 30 minutes for $60. 30 minutes for $60. All you have to do is go to a website and sign in and use your credit card, make the payment. The website is https:// CALENDLY.com/apps APPTS/VWD/Bob Pace. It's all down at the bottom of my screen where that website is. Once you do that, use your credit card, pay the $60, and set up your consultation with Mr. Davis for 30 minutes at $60. It's a one-time fee there for the 30 minutes. Now, I'm trying to keep up with you, Paulette. Let me see what else you wrote here. Good, Paulette. She's going to check out that site. Paulette, if you just type in South Carolina CPS and then whatever question you have for CPS, type in next, you'll see a volume of lots of pages to read and lots of topics to read about the fairness of child protection agency, how to get your rights, how to terminate your rights. There's lots of things that they talk about. So I recommend you spending days at that site researching it all. So anyway, some of my rules that I've found out that have helped me in my case. I've told you about those pink ladies. There's a horrific, terrible time that they did parading around. Those are your attitude of social workers. But besides rule number 1, get an attorney. Rule number 2 is organize yourself a notebook to keep track of all your notes. It should be 8.5 by 11 with 3-ring binder. And you want to stuff it full of college rule notebook paper and get yourself 20 dividers and divide it up. And one of the things I talked about is the incident timeline tracking of all the people you talk to. If you talk to a teacher or the principal, or you talk to a social worker or the police, whoever you talk to, you write their name down. You write down the location, the date and the time, and who you talk to. And then you want to do your next line, your second line is a summary of what the incident was about. And then you want to do your third line, the results of the incident, how it was settled. If it's not settled, leave it open, come back to later. Then skip a few lines, repeat yourself. Do that with any contact you have with the school, with your family members, with the church, whatever. You open it up and you want to find out. And that's what I'm saying is you got to get this notebook organized to put all your paperwork in there uniformly and easy to get to, and then take it with you. My problem was I had on Post-it notes, I had on scratch paper, I had them on envelopes than I have. It was all over the place. And it's so hard to come back and talk about something just happened a day or two ago. So I find it very valuable to have a pot or a breakdown of that item. That notebook will come in handy. Rule number 3 is you never talk to social workers or the police. You don't want to because you'll dig yourself further in the hole. The least you talk about, the better off you are. My recommendation is if you encounter a CPS social worker, do not say anything. If you're outside, tell them that, excuse me, I would like to talk to you, but I need get a hold of my attorney who has to be present. And so they'll give you enough time. They'll issue something or a promissory note to appear, but not necessarily a ticket. But so you just want the best you can is to get that attorney who will represent you. If you're outside, tell them time out. I need to speak to my attorney, have them present. Don't meet at your home or their office. Meet at Starbucks or McDonald's, some quiet place like that. And you can talk about your case there. Now, Paulette, you need to talk to the attorney. So if you're a guest on my podcast, you get a free 15 minutes. If you call in, you get a free 15 minutes. Now, if they do happen to meet outside you, just say, be nice to them, but say you need your attorney present before you talk any further. It's your right. It's your constitutional right. Also, you got to watch out something called trafficking. There's medical trafficking where a social worker maybe overhears somebody, but they hang out at the hospital and they're to take away your children. They're trying, instead of help you, they want to take away your children. Now, where did I get that? Okay. Now, we have someone new to the room right now. Welcome. Paulette, I'll get back to your question in a second here. I want to say hello to Nifsit. People should worry about this election and know how it would turn out. CPS will only get a lot worse. Okay. I really have to abstain from having political in the room. This is about CPS, and I know people have their opinion about that. We know that a businessman is somebody that needs to run the country, and they know how to help out with CPS. So I appreciate you coming into my room, but here we are to talk about CPS. Now, Paulette had a question. She says, how do I go about getting all my paperwork, my case stuff from the courthouse? if I have gone to the court house and asked for everything pertaining to my case, and the ladies said there I was only one case, and that was the state of South Carolina versus my husband, and no other paperwork. You can require in the Freedom of Information Act, you can ask for your paperwork if you're involved. If you're low income, you request the copies made to you at no charge. If you're normal income or middle or income, you have to pay for your copies. But they are available for you to look at on the computer there at the clerk, and you can pick out what you want. Paulette says there's only one case, and that was the state of South Carolina versus my husband, and no other paperwork. Well, that's hard to believe that your husband could do that without you present. You're married to him, so I don't quite understand how that is being there. Now, Paulette says, okay, but the judge allowed him to be the same question 4 times. Well, there's something corrupt in South Carolina. And what you need to do is come to my show and talk about it. Come to my show and talk about it. If you have a case number, you can request copies of that case number. Freedom of Information Act. So you need to get the case number. You need to find your case, Paulette. You need to find your case. So as I was saying there about what you do about not talking to or letting them in, don't let them take your child. Don't let them in your home. Too many people have been killed opening doors. It's sad. But I know very specific cases recently. One was a black airman shot in the chest and died on FaceTime talking to his girlfriend. The other one was a black woman that was arguing with the sheriff that she invited in as a guest, and he shot her in the face 5 times, and she's dead. That's wrong. That's wrong. Or the Korean lady that was shot by 2 policemen. I don't know why these policemen are so trigger happy, but they always want to shoot before they ask questions. So you got to be careful about these evil people. There's no question about that. And all you have to do on today's election is vote for a judge that will represent you, because the judges in the dependency court are elected officials, and you want to pick a judge schooled in family dependency law. A criminal law is not going to help you in dependency court. So you got to be careful there. Also, careful with medical trafficking. That's where you bring your children into urgent care or emergency room, and some of your children are taken because maybe the doctor says you need to do vaccines. You don't have to do exactly what the doctor says. You can ask for a second opinion or take them to your own pediatrician doctor. So don't let that intimidate you. They're going to try to use that card to no avail, where they will not be a real person and sort of force them on you. Also, if you're having a baby, be careful there, because they love to take babies. They need a court order. They need what's called a warrant before they take any action against you or talk to you or see you or take your children, those kinds of things. So, you know, if you're having a child, don't let them in the room. They don't have to give up your child. say no. They have to have a court warrant. Now, rule number 4 is an easy one. That's where you do your research on the internet for 60, 70 hours about your case in your city. So put down the city, the state. If it's a small city, you might have to say 2 cities, the state, and then the acronym CPS and your question about CPS and your question. And it will look up tons of answers to lots of questions that are out there. Then lastly, you want to have a folder. You want to put all your important documents in that folder, and such as birth certificates, social security cards, licenses, your marriage certificate, all the different kinds of certificate you want to put in. So that completes my 6 rules. And so research the internet, all about your case, spend 60 to 70 hours. Then that folder, stuff it full of your important documents, such as your medical records of your children and so forth. Now, my time has come up where I'm going to end my podcast and going to play another message from Vincent Davis. He has a show this Saturday, and he will help you, and you should attend it. It's worthwhile to hear that. So keep those rules that I talked to you about in your mind. Don't forget them. 1, get an attorney. 2, create a notebook. Create an incident timeline log. 3, do not talk to social workers. Do not let them in your home. Do not let them take your children. Be careful of medical trafficking. And then 4 is research the internet thoroughly. And then 5 is your important documents to stick in the envelope. All your medical records, everything about your child in one place in there. So I want to thank you all for listening and hear what I had to say. I hope you come back later today. Paulette, I want you to be a guest of my podcast or call in so we can talk about your case so I can help you. I'm so glad you come back, Paulette. It's so nice that you did. And I can help you. The internet can help you too, Paulette. So keep fighting your cases. Don't give up. I know at times it seems you're lost for words, you want to give up, but don't. Eventually you will succeed. Keep your faith in God. Go out and vote today, not only for the president, but also for other issues that are on there, and then also your judges elected to the dependency courts. It's very important that we vote for them also. So God bless for you. Thank you so much for sharing your morning. I'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is Bob Pace signing off.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.